Happy Pride Month. Let's talk about some very practical ways in which nonprofits can better steward their LGBTQ plus donors. In my opinion, this all comes down to how you manage your data. Not entirely, but it is a huge part of making sure your LGBT donors know that you understand who they are and you respect their life choices and what they're about. And a lot of this comes down to data management. I recommend maybe it's every year during Pride Month, but at least once a year, especially if you're a major gift officer, you go through your portfolio and you're assessing the following things for all of your donors, but especially paying attention to these situations for your LGBTQ donors. So the first thing that you want to look at, of course, is making sure that names are properly recorded in the database. You never want for a donor to receive a piece of mail with an old name that they no longer identify with or things like that. This is the ultimate insult and will make sure that that donor feels alienated and not taken care of by your organization. Along those lines, gender choices. You should have more choices in your database than just male and female or masculine and feminine. You need lots of options in there to make sure that you are responding to your donors in a way that jives with their personal identification and that you respect that. Along those lines, if you have an ability to record pronouns in your database, make sure that you're doing that and that you're putting that in there and keeping it up to date as those things change, because that's a fluid piece of someone's identity. Now, salutations go kind of along with this. So the salutation could be Mr. and Mrs., it could be a preferred name versus their formal name. There's lots of ways that this can go right or wrong, but you need to be reviewing it on a regular basis, especially as people's situations change. They get married, they get divorced, they have different living situations. And one of the practical ways that you can address salutations and prefixes is, whether you have someone, a woman who has a PhD, does she like to go by doctor or Mrs., right? It's a way that you could quickly insult someone if you're not paying attention to that. So salutations and prefixes, very important for women and LGBT donors. Addressees, and especially joint addressees. So making sure that you are addressing the household properly if the piece of mail or email or whatever communication it is going there, that you are respecting those persons' relationships and that it is correctly addressed to them. Again, making sure that the prefixes jive with their pronouns, jive with their gender identification, and their relationship status. This is well worth the effort to do this stuff. Marital status, being able to check marital status routinely and ensure that that's up to date will let your donors know, especially your major donors, that you are attentive to their needs. And I just want to note that it's not just couples anymore. More and more people are having alternative forms of relationships that include 3 or more people. And your database needs to have a way to denote that and connect those people through relationships, and that you're keeping up with this. So these are just some very practical ways. Again, I recommend once a year setting a goal to review your portfolio and make sure that all of these things are correct for your LGBTQ donors. And I'll just do like this so that you can screenshot and make sure that you're going through all of these things. We usually are very good about keeping contact information up to date and notes from meetings, but we're not always great about checking these things. The gender, pronouns, salutations, prefixes, marital status, all of these things go hand in hand together. And then, of course, names and how people like to be addressed. So if you want a practical way in order to support your LGBTQ donors, make sure that you're doing an annual portfolio data review with an eye to all of these different fields.